Hello everyone, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. My name is D Free, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about the Pure Saiyans team. Hope you guys enjoy. Subscribe, of course, if you happen to be new for more content. First thing I want to say is the other day, that was a very long is. The other day I put up a video showing off the best Pure Saiyan teams. First and foremost, if you want to check that out, it'll be annotated in the last 20 seconds of this video. Feel free to click on it. It'll take you right over to the video. You can watch it and get my opinions on the team. So turns out that according to Reddit, that was basically the best team mathematically. I mean, I'm very good at building the teams apparently, and it just kind of works out that way a lot of the times where me and Reddit or whoever does it over there, you know, Mobile Man, Lolly, all those other people, it kind of comes within like maybe one unit sometimes, and sometimes I just choose a unit for preferences to like, you know, I prefer this unit over this unit or things of that nature. But the reason why I bring up the previous video is because, yes, I already did this, and it actually was LR focused. This video is not going to feature any LRs. This is going to be mainly the non-LR variants. So we're going to talk about that here today. And the reason that I wanted to do this, aside from the fact that I know not everybody can build these teams, I mean, that's not even the goal anyway, but still people kind of look at it as that, because I'm just looking at it from the perspective, as you see here, I have a database, every unit available. Even cards I myself don't have. I mean, I have every unit right here, but for the most part, when I do these, there may be a unit here and there that I don't have. Last time I did one of these, that unit was Dispo. I did not have Dispo when I built the Tournament of Power team in my last team building video. So the reason I bring this up, though, finally, is because in that video that I did previously, where I was showing off the best team and I had LRs in it, people were like, what about SS4? What about this guy? Why is Mastered Ultra Instinct not on your team? Etc., etc., etc. Quite frankly, they were not good enough to be put on that team. When the team is like this, they're not good enough to be in it. Just simply, when the team is like this, those units are just simply not good enough. It's really just that simple, honestly. When those 4 units are here, you have the friend Vegeta. That's kind of just is what it is. And of course, there are 2 slots left. Turles is the best offensive support unit in the game. He innately makes the team, you know, either way, regardless, because of the fact that he's also a, you know, a 3-key support for these LRs. And then the final spot, Bardock takes it because of the fact that he's able to support more than half of the team. He also seals and can do some solid damage. And this is mathematically the best team, again, as far as damage goes. Because, of course, you can make a more defensive-focused team. But, I mean, I'd make the argument this team doesn't take very much damage anyway. That was mathematically the best team, right? And just LR, I mean, SS4 is awesome, right? Goku and Vegeta. They just didn't make it in that cut. But for this one, I'm going to give you guys what you want. And not only because I love you guys, but because they are actually good enough to be in this variant. So that's really how things kind of shook down, and that was not a knock against these guys at all. It's just they're not comparable to LR SS3 Goku, for example. They're not comparable to LR Majin Vegeta or LR Broly, really. LR Broly, he gets scrutinized, heavily. You may disagree with them not being comparable to him, but nonetheless, he's one of the hardest hitting units in the game. It's by merit of him getting a second attack. If he didn't get the second attack, then maybe not. But, I mean, he gets hit ridiculously hard, though. So, anyways, as far as it goes, they're my first couple of units that I even take off of the bench. Again, not considering any LRs. They're the first couple of units that I take off of the bench just because of the intangibles. They share six links with each other. Only link I think that SS4 Goku has that he doesn't share with Vegeta is Kamehameha. And otherwise, I think Vegeta has, like, Saiyan Pride or something like that. I don't something like that off the top of my head. It's like another attack link that Vegeta has, I think. That he doesn't actually spawn with Goku. So, nonetheless, look at this. Super Saiyan, Prepare for Battle, GT, Shocking Speed, Fierce Battle, and Saiyan Roar. That's a lot of attack between these two. That's 50% attack between these two. The reason why SS3 Goku technically is a better buddy, SS3 GT, is because he triggers all of the attack links SS4 Goku has, while also giving him 33% in the passive as a support unit. So he can be on rotation and be a support unit for that entire rotation, and then spawn all the attack links that Goku has. All these links, including the aforementioned Kamehameha link, which isn't that spectacular, but it is a thing. So that's one of the reasons why SS4 Goku pops off so heavily. But you know, when people complain about SS4 Goku and, like, how he's not in this, or if he was under a 170, he'd be, you know, in the top 10. Sure, he might be, but a lot of his damage output comes from the SS3 Goku. Like, a lot of it. Like, seriously, a lot of his output comes from him. He's a stellar unit. Phenomenal. Does a ton of damage, but he needs a very good link buddy, like most units in the game anyway. So that's not a knock against him again, but just let's not overstate it a little bit. So I will actually not be running SS3 Goku on this team, the GT one. Just going to put that out there. But if you would like to, he can be substituted for this unit. Like I said, best offensive support in the game, 40%. Awesome. Here's the deal. Off-rotation Turles is better than off-rotation SS3 Goku. Now, Turles has access to transformations. Apparently, when he transforms, according to the statistics of the way that it breaks down for this unit, he actually generates less attack because he goes from being a 40% support unit to being to being an offensive unit. Kind of like mediocre, top tier. You know, I don't even know if you can even quantify those two together, but nonetheless, he's up there. He hits hard, tanks pretty well when he transforms. He totally changes his entire passive. But SS4 Goku and Vegeta on rotation with this guy floating in that last spot is better. It's just simply better than SS3 Goku being back there. 33% versus 40. That's really what it breaks down to. And then on top of that, he also supports this guy too. Again, 33% versus 40. But if you like to, you can make the change. I mean, it's not that big of a deal as far as that goes. I mean, it's Turles. And he'll also get the transformation every now and again, which may or may not be a good thing, depending on how you look at it, right? So next unit that I would like to consider is, again, one of the best support units in the game. SS3 Bardock. He actually still makes this team. And he's another unit you can replace for SS3 Goku, if you would like to. Another 40% unit. He supports everybody but Turles, but it doesn't necessarily matter because he optimally should never be on a rotation at the same time as Turles anyway, because they'd both be in that last spot every single turn. This guy is so awesome because he also has PFB, which allows him to, if you want him to be on rotation, the second rotation, and supply enough ki for the entire rotation without having a ki support passive. So it's awesome when they gave him Prepare for Battle and Over in a Flash as an SS3 unit, which I believe was unheard of prior to him. Nobody had that combination. The reason they did that, of course, was probably for SS3 Broly, who actually has PFB but doesn't have Over in a Flash. Right next to him, actually. There he goes, right there. The boy, SS3. So, you know, 40% can't be understated. It's just too significant, especially if it can work on basically everybody there, as opposed to the key restricted or the color restricted ones that are on those type specific banners. You know, and if you have one of those and you're running a mono team, they always make the cut. It doesn't matter how good your team is, they will always make the cut just because 40% is that good. You can have a team full of LRs and one of them will not make the team because that 40% is that good. That might be a bit of an overstatement, but just wanted to kind of make sure that I got that point across. So now that we've gone through this, right, there's one spot left. Can any of you guys guess who that last spot goes to? There's actually a few really good units here in these like second and third rows, or even fourth row as well, technically, despite the fact that some of them are kind of just, you know, SSR versions of these TURs. But really, when I came down to this one, I was like, you know what, maybe SS3 Goku here. Maybe he deserves it. He's an awesome unit, but I didn't choose him. And I actually considered TUR Broly, but then I was like, you know what, it's not necessarily the same thing if I'm going to take out the LR equation, because all you need is actually a pretty hefty amount of Zenny to awaken him to LR, but technically if you have this guy, you have LR Broly, and you might as well put him on the team anyway. If you have any unit on this top row, these first couple of slots, or even 1000 Day Goku probably, he makes it on the team as well. So it's like, you know, that's just what you would put in that last slot. But really what it came down to is I was like, you know what, we're going to go at MUI. MUI, he's the last guy that I chose for this team, and here's why. He's an awesome unit. He has a transformation mechanic. He was in the top 5. The funny thing about this is this team actually has access to the bottom 3 out of 5, which isn't a bad thing because the top 2 are Gogeta and Vegito LRs. 3 of the top 5 transformations in the game. That was, of course, not including the ape transformations or things like that. Hirudegarn, even though it wouldn't have mattered, they still wouldn't have amounted because the mechanic is so bad in relation to what these guys have as access. But I kind of looked at the team and I was like, you know what? With SS4 Goku getting a defensive boost, first and foremost, them being under 170 defense is huge. Vegeta being the naturally good defensive unit that he is, SS4. SS4 Goku getting the defensive boost when he launches supers, as opposed to the potential attack increase that he would have got, but they decided to give him defense, but that's neither here nor there. Turles and his capabilities, especially if he ever gets to transform. Turles transforms under the restrictions of 80%. You know, 80%, he has, I believe, a chance to go ahead and transform when he's below 80%. So it's not as bad as being below 50%. And we have SS3 Goku who can, or SS3 Bardock who can also seal super attacks as well. That's not always available because certain bosses at certain points can't be sealed. But then I looked at MUI and I was like, okay, well, basically he's never going to ever transform. If you can build this exact team, he'll just almost never transform unless you sabotage the run. Like I do sometimes. You'll see me do it in my videos. I did it a lot under when I was using LR Vegito and SS or Gogeta as well, those guys, because 50% is actually kind of hard to proc if you can build a good team. But nonetheless, I also looked at it. He kind of made the team partly in reason because there aren't as many units that can even compete with him at that point. So he kind of gets it by default, to be honest. But I don't want to undervalue him, right? It's just, I'm not impressed. Like, I think he's an incredible unit. I just feel like he could have been better. That's it. That's all it is, right? I just feel like he could have been better given what he is. I feel like he and Jiren both could have been a lot better than they are. Now, there may be new versions of these characters. I mean, we've seen the Jiren art already for the story event. We also see that other Goku art, to be honest. Although, I think that Goku art could be from the Super Attack. I don't recall exactly. But nonetheless, I just feel like he could have been better. That's it. That's my only gripe with him. 100% is what he's going to have most of the time. But if you ever do get below 50%, you have a nice crutch in that he becomes incredible, right? He's able to transform, get self-sufficiency and 150%, and he also raises his attack still, and he'll stay transformed through the duration of the fight as well. So he becomes incredible post-transforming. It's just he's kind of like run-of-the-mill to me, you know, prior. And you know who also quantifies that? That's the thing about this team is the funny thing about the way this team is built is they're all very run-of-the-mill. Like, even SS4 Goku, who everybody loves and never says anything bad about, he's probably the hardest-hitting unit on this team naturally. You know, without Vegeta getting his transformations and then turning into a crit machine, you know, he's probably the hardest-hitting unit. And same goes for MUI, of course. Transformations aside, he's probably the hardest hitter on the team, especially when on rotation with this guy. But it's like everybody here has a nice balance between attack and defense. They're very, very middling in terms of that, and that's quantified by the leader. You know, that's what he does best. He's a, attack and defensive juggernaut until, again, he transforms and then he becomes crit machine Vegeta. And he still kind of does the same thing, but he just gets the ability to get built-in crits. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a knock against anybody. That's just kind of how the team shook out. So anyways, monologue out of the way. Let's go ahead and decode who the next options would be for this team if you were trying to formulate it. If you wanted to go ahead and, like I said earlier, sub in S3 GT Goku, you can definitely do that. If you want to try to optimize Mastered UI Goku, there's nobody better to put on the team than STR, SSG. They trigger a lot of links between each other. Only link they don't have is, I believe, Kamehameha. It's like I said earlier, inconsequential. Can you show me the links? Okay, whatever. They have, there it goes. There we go. Fierce Battle, Godly Power, First Awaken, and Over in a Flash. They're great on rotation together. If you wanted to try to focus on him, that works well. If you didn't have any other hard hitter units, really anybody you would plug in for SS4 Goku or Vegeta would work just about the same, assuming they share a nice wealth of links. You can put in that Kale. She'd work very, very well. She's one of the better units you can actually consider as well. You can't consider a lot of these units that I'm showing right here on the screen unless you have like LR Broly. You really can't consider much else. SS3 Goku would be a solid option. Just keep in mind that over in Flash, you might want to make sure you put another unit on the team just for consistency purposes that has something like that. Or you can put a unit that can do a little bit of both in over in a Flash and prepare for battle, such as this guy right here, SSB Kaioken Goku, or the 100%ed if you were able to do it, and finished off Extreme Z Awaken SS3 Goku. He would be able to pop into the team as well. You could also plug in, a couple of these units, SSG and SS3 Goku, in those two SS4 spots, and you'd be honestly perfectly fine. You can turn this team into more of a prepare for battle / over in a Flash blend, and you'd be able to compete basically with the way the team is currently built. The main issue with this team is the issue with like Hybrid Saiyans as well. It's funny that they did it to Pure and Hybrid Saiyans, but nonetheless, the issue with this team is the fact that they don't have that explosive damage. They just can't do it because of the fact that they're, well, in comparison to some of the other teams, I don't want to say they can't do it because they're still going to do millions, but in comparison to some of the other teams, just because they're under 130 as a leader as opposed to 170, so that's how things shake out. Other units you can consider, Mass Saiyan, again, a unit that does a little bit of both offensively and defensively. As these teams do get better, he's going to get a little bit worse. That actually applies to LR Broly as well, to be honest. But LR Broly is in a league of his own because 80,000 is still too much for this game right now. As far as like him being bad and stuff like that, it's going to be a long time before 80,000 isn't enough to keep up in damage in this game. And also that coupled with him being an LR and having those LR stats really helps. I mean, look at this. 18,000 attack on Broly on the left. SS4 Goku, 11,000. You see what I mean? Having those LR stats is a really big deal. So that's about it. Like I said earlier, plug in a support unit if you would like to. There are actually very, very good Goku support units down here that I'm not necessarily going to be able to go over because I don't know everyone off the top of my head, such as the starter AGL Goku. He can honestly plug in and be very good on this team, you know, stuff like that. So I just SS2 Bardock. The Bardock variants are good supports as well. But nonetheless, I wanted to just kind of cover this for you guys. That's what I would consider the best team. There was no unit here that I think is, you know, irreplaceable. There was no unit here, aside from the leader, of course. There's no unit here that I think is like head and shoulders a million times better than everyone else here. It's not that type of team. It's a very, very middling team in terms of the output that they're going to do, but they're going to be very good defensively. You're going to have a lot of HP, a lot of longevity, but the issue with that is that doesn't help this guy. It doesn't help. I hate it. It doesn't help. It really doesn't help Turles either as much, but Turles has a little bit of an easier time proccing his transformation, while Vegeta has the easiest time because he just does it outright without HP restriction. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Have an awesome day, and take it easy, guys.